Let me say this once and for all. Despite what we've been hearing for years, no, there is no plot hole regarding the Death Star in Star Wars. And for the rebels out there who aren't convinced, well, I'm going to prove it to you right now. First things first, let's define what a plot hole is. A plot hole is a gap in the story where the writer either fails to give us an important information we need or creates a contradiction with something he already established. Let me give you a simple example, and for that we'll look at the movie Free Guy. The story takes place within a video game, and in one scene we're being told the character of Millie can't kiss the character of Guy because there's no kiss command in the game.
There's not a button for that.
Yet, later on in the film, she can suddenly and magically kiss him. Was a new command added to the code? No explanation is ever given. This is a classic plot hole, and a really bad one at that considering how easy it would have been to fix. Now back to the Death Star. What do we know? We know it is a battle station so ginormous that even Obi-Wan Kenobi, a veteran Jedi who traveled through the galaxy and fought countless wars, he is stunned when he sees it for the first time.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
It's too big to be a space station.
We also know it took over 2 decades to conceptualize and build, with probably more engineers than you can count working on it, and some of the best in the galaxy at that. A project so groundbreaking is bound to have some flaws. Now, some argue that the top-notch talent of the Empire should have spotted the exhaust port issue, but guess what? Having the best engineers and mountains of credits doesn't make you immune to epic fails. And if you don't believe me, allow me to tell you the story of the Mars Climate Orbiter. In 1999, 2 teams were working on a project to send a satellite to Mars to study its climate. The problem is, both teams were using different units of measurement. One spoke metric, the other one imperial. They never realized that. The result? The orbiter crashed, creating a $327 million crater on Mars. Yes, this is a real story. If this was in a movie, you probably wouldn't believe it. Once again, reality proves to be stranger than fiction. So it's not totally bonkers to think that the Death Star engineers might have missed the blinking neon sign saying weak spot here. But here's the thing. They probably knew about the problem and simply decided to turn a blind eye. That might sound crazy, but George Lucas actually gives us every detail we need to validate this hypothesis. First off, we're being told that hitting the exhaust port is a nearly impossible task, and that the rebel pilots attempting it are going on a suicide mission.
That's impossible, even for a computer.
But it's not impossible. I used to bullseye womp rats in my T-16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Luke is nice to say that, but he's forgetting that he's going to be under heavy enemy fire facing the greatest weapon ever designed. The only reason he was able to pull it off in the end was thanks to being force sensitive and by receiving unexpected backup at the most crucial moment.
What?
Yahoo!
However, the most important reason the Empire chose to overlook this flaw is far simpler and lies within its Achilles heel: arrogance. They're so sure of their own strength that they wildly underestimate their opponents, which is shown multiple times throughout the movie.
Any attack made by the rebels against this station would be a useless gesture, no matter what technical data they've obtained. This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Its defenses are designed around a direct, large-scale assault. A small, one-man fighter should be able to penetrate the outer defense. Well, the Empire doesn't consider a small, one-man fighter to be any threat, or they'd have a tighter defense.
In the end, it's not difficult to see why the Empire would have chosen to ignore such a flaw. It was a very difficult target to hit, and they thought the sheer power of their brand new battle station would be enough to deter anyone from even trying. This is made even more obvious by the fact that when the rebels launched their attack, the Empire immediately knew what they were after.
We've analyzed their attack, sir, and there is a danger. Should I have your ship standing by?
Evacuate? In our moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances.
This proves that they were very much aware that their battle station had a weak spot. It's their overconfidence that led to their downfall, which is a recurring theme in Star Wars. In the prequels, the Jedi were overconfident as well, allowing Palpatine to seize power and to turn their brightest Padawan to the dark side right in front of their very eyes.
His abilities have made him, well, arrogant.
Yes. A flaw more and more common among Jedi. Too sure of themselves they are. Even the older, more experienced ones.
Later on, Palpatine himself became arrogant, which prevented him from seeing his own apprentice slowly turning on him.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
This makes for a far deeper and far more interesting story than whatever Disney came up with in Rogue One. The idea that a single engineer was able to slip a flaw into a design that thousands of other people worked on, from other engineers to specialty builders, is frankly laughable. And I say this even though I enjoyed Rogue One. Had the film been entirely centered on the rebels in charge of retrieving the plans of the Death Star, I think it would have been one of the best Star Wars films. Unfortunately, the subplot regarding the exhaust port is unnecessary at best and creates more problems and questions it can possibly answer, dragging the film down in my opinion. It's still good, but it could have been a lot better. One last thing, a lot of people wonder why the rebels started their run to the exhaust port from so far away, which is a fair question. If a target is so difficult to hit and they need to be in perfect position to even have the slightest chance to succeed, it makes sense that they would give themselves some leeway by not starting their run too close from said target. Add to that the speed of their ships and the fact that they're under heavy enemy fire, and you understand that they did the best they could under the circumstances. And of course, it also makes for a more exciting finale, which is sometimes a good enough reason not to sweat over every single little detail. You see, the talent of a good storyteller is also to know when something needs a detailed explanation and when it doesn't. And George Lucas, well, he's a brilliant storyteller.